Hello, gorgeous humans, and welcome to Conversations with myself, Abigail Beckingham, leader of Embodied Living, experience design architect, and curator of all. Labels, labels, labels. And don't we love a label? What I trust is that you resonate with the words that I speak and the energy that I give off, which comes from a real heartfelt place and a person that has lived her life thus far with everything that she's had, as well as putting the intention into where it needed to go. And what I mean by that is that I take full responsibility for the way that I feel. Life has thrown many curved boomerangs, but you can't keep blaming life. You have to look at where you're standing in receiving that boomerang. Which brings me wonderfully into this conversation today, because I see, feel, touch many strong and powerful women who reach this point where they are conflicted, confused, so many choices. They don't feel like they can make a decision. And then underneath that narrative is and I don't know who I am. Sometimes that can be loud. Other times it's really quiet. And most of the time, it doesn't belong to that person. And I have one such client at the moment with all of that, with all of those echoes coming through at a point in her life where she'd really like to take some authority. And we forget that we already have that authority and that we do not need to learn something new to make these decisions. We actually need a lot less. That feels so counterintuitive, especially speaking from my kind of brain. I know when I am feeding a habit that doesn't serve me, or I'm out of kilter because I want to grasp education, like I just want to get it, when in fact what is beneficial to me in that time is to create space and get on the floor and move my body, because that is an ancient part of my tapestry, but it's also what my lived experience has shown me works. Creating space to do things like this currently doesn't hold much value, but it will do. It really will do. Because we are in this state of wanting to know how to make ourselves better. When we are already better, we just need to change the environment. And so I come back to this wonderful human that is coming to see me. They have no idea why they're coming to see me, other than they met me at a festival and were so moved by me and my words and the way that I move that they know deep within their soul that this is the next step forward. Now, isn't it interesting that this person feels that they can't make a decision, and yet they've made this decision because they know that it's right? And what we see here is the absolute necessity of reclaiming our body, of remembering the power of our body, of remembering the power of earth. And this is why it's so important to get out in nature, right? I saw a post on Instagram and it was a wonderful post. Beautiful. Fed my brain. And it described how the trees emit this chemical which is a deterrent to bugs and whatnot. But when humans walk underneath it, it has the opposite effect. It actually calms us down. And it's shown to help reduce breast cancer. How wonderful is that? Now, the point to this reflection is it's great that we've got our machines out and found that out, but our bodies already knew that. Our bodies already knew that. Go and walk under the bloody tree. Go and walk under the tree. We know that deeply within our soul. It's where we came from. It's where we lived. We lived under trees. We slept under trees. But the noise is too loud. The stimulation is too much. We have put so many things around us that we are out of touch with that communication. And that brings me back to the wonderful human that I'm talking about now. To bring someone in touch with themselves, to be touched, to touch, to feel touch, to be touched. This is what we are all craving. To feel deeply. And the wonderful thing is about that is that when we get that, we don't need it all the time. We can chill out a little bit more. Decisions don't become so overwhelming. And remember, the densest element is earth. All other elements sit on top of it. It's their anchor. It's their foundation. And when we are in a state of confusion and overwhelm, we are in too much air. Our air is in chaos. We need the steadiness of the earth. Maybe we need the fluidity of water. The confidence that water has to move to where it needs to go. Fire to burn through and create direct action. You know, this is what the elements offer us. But one thing I know deeply is that when it comes to scattered thoughts, too much, can't make a decision, the less you have, the easier it becomes. The more space you create, the more clearer you become. The more in your body you are, the easier decisions become because there are not so many of them. Solid, structure, ease, power. What does earth reflect to you? And out of curiosity, what element do you need right now in your life? Notice your habits. Notice whether the element that you call forth is an element that is going to support you or whether it is an addiction to the way that you currently feel to feed whatever's going on. It's so simple. It's so simple, but you see, this simplicity doesn't quite fit into the way that society works, and that is where we come into conflict. And this is why we look at the environment and the culture and our biology. And my big takeaway on this is that, remember, any symptoms that you experience, this is coming from your body trying to create balance. Your body is not in sickness. The environment is. And when we realize that, we can make changes. Step by step. until your body feels in balance with itself. And just a little tidbit on top of that, having done this myself with the move from London to Devon, you have to be aware of the outpouring that occurs, because you keep it together for so long within that environment. And when you get that freedom, woo, space for that to move, settle. And the interesting thing is, when you come into balance, it suddenly feels like you're not doing enough. But you really are. And this is where your life unfolds, where the pages begin to turn, and the story that is written is your story, not someone else's. So when we look at confusion, not knowing who we are, we have to feel into how we are wearing our skin, how we carry ourselves within this body, how we relate to this body. Because if you don't know who you are, how can you ever become who you intended to be? If you don't know who you are, how can you ever become who you intended to be? Feel this, know this, anchor into this, create the space for this, and allow reality to become clearer. You really don't need much. Always a pleasure sharing these insights with you. Like, subscribe, share, create conversation in the comments. I'd love to hear from you.